So you think summer gardening is impossible. I understand. It's hotter than Satan's balls here in Texas, and we consistently get to the 100 degrees, if not more. It feels like going into an oven. But there are several things that you can do to help make your gardening easier and keep your garden thriving in this summer heat. There are 6 tips of things that you can do to help get your garden through the heat of the summer. And there's a couple of things that you would want to wait to do until the temperatures go down. The first thing we really want to focus on for creating a healthy garden over the summer is first making sure we have healthy soil. This is going to be the foundation of a healthy garden that thrives over the summer. Why is this? For multiple reasons. Because a healthy soil, it has all sorts of soil microbes and fungi that can help extend the root system of your plants through a symbiotic relationship. They can help your plant access nutrients and stuff that would otherwise be locked away from them. Healthy soil also holds a lot of moisture. So that way, when we get hot, there's more moisture in the soil that your plant can access. It also allows your plants to grow deep roots where they can go deeper than the surface where all that water evaporates from. And why does this work? Is because there's a lot of organic matter in this soil. Organic matter feeds those microbes, holds onto moisture in the soil, it holds onto nutrients, and it helps your plants thrive in the heat of the summer. The next thing we want to focus on is mulching. And what is mulch? It is a layer of all sorts of different type of substances that you can put on that are going to act like a protective layer on top of your soil. There's a few different types of mulch, such as organic mulch. These mulches could be your grass clippings, could be straw, they could be bark, they could be chipped wood that are going to lay on top of your soil. The benefit of organics is that they will break down and add organic nutrients to your soil. It's going to help increase the healthiness of your soil in the long run. There are also other types of mulch, such as natural inorganics, and these could be like sand or stone, pebbles, something that you would really see in a xeriscape or a desert-scaped garden. There is also a third type, which is synthetic. They are going to be man-made stuff, such as the black plastic. There's also such things as the shredded tires that you can sometimes see at playgrounds. And then why do we always want to make sure that our garden is mulched? For multiple reasons. Is because it helps to insulate the soil. Those 2 to 3 inches of that mulch are going to protect the soil. They're going to help keep it insulated so the temperature doesn't get as hot in the soil. It's going to help reduce evaporation of that precious water from your garden. It is going to also help reduce the amount of weeds which can compete with your plants for that precious water. One more thing about mulch is whenever you put it down, you want to do the water sandwich. What's the water sandwich? It's when you make sure that your soil is moistened, then you put down your mulch, and then you re-water it. Why is this? Because dry mulch can actually suck up that moisture from your soil, making it not work in the manner that we want it to work. Another thing we can do for our heat exhausted gardens is put up shade cloth. Shade cloth is a cloth that comes in various colors and it provides shade. The shade that it provides can vary. There are shade cloths that range from less than 20% to up to 90%. When choosing a shade cloth, it is important to know what plants you are shading. For things such as your tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, these are really going to want more sunlight. If you have some plants that you're trying to extend the season of, these would be like some of your greens or some of your herbs that would appreciate a little bit more shade. Or for your really shade loving plants, such as your ferns, your orchids, or some of those natives that do really well in a forest that really want a good amount of shade. And so there are different ways that you can actually put up your shade cloth. There are people who just get some poles such as bamboo stakes or other type of stakes and create a tent. There are also more larger, more sturdy structures such as creating wooden frames to hold up your shade cloth. You could even use shade cloth on a structure made of PVC that looks very similar to a hoop house. And then one of my favorite ways to protect my garden in the summer is the use of biostimulants. Yes, they stimulate biology. Whether or not that's going to be the in-soil biology, such as microbes and fungi, or the plant biology where it takes up nutrients, it boosts its defenses. There are different types of biostimulants. Most of these you are going to mix into water and dilute it and pour it on your plants. Things such as liquid seaweed or Agrispon, or one of my favorites, compost tea, which I actually make myself. A lot of these biostimulants can be applied to both the soil and the plant. If you are going to be applying these biostimulants to your plant, to the foliage, I would do it really early in the morning. That way the plant can take it up before it gets too hot and stops absorbing all that good stuff through the leaves. And then why do they help? Why do we want to use these biostimulants? They help to promote nutrient uptake. That could be in a more passive manner, so the plant doesn't necessarily have to spend as much energy getting those nutrients. It can help with abiotic stress. That is going to be stress caused from heat, from cold, from lack of water. And it can help your plants deal with those stresses. Because who isn't stressed over summer? These microbes and the organic matter in your soil and the stimulants that you add can increase the water holding capacity of your soil, making it to where your soil holds more water like a sponge, and your plants can continually take that water. My next tip is more about how you water than adding something to your garden. And so you really want to water deeply. You want to make sure you flood your plant, let the water go down to the root ball, flood your plant again, and do that a few different times because you really want to make sure that your entire root ball is thoroughly moistened. Moist. Well, yeah, you want to make sure that your entire root ball is moistened. And you want the water to go beyond the root ball so that those roots are chasing it down. Chasing it down. Because the deeper the roots you have on your plant, the more access they have to water below. Well, the water isn't just sitting at the soil surface where it just quickly evaporates when it gets hot. And because your roots are chasing that water down and developing a deeper root system, your plants are more suitable for the Texas summers. They have deeper roots, which make them more resilient in times of drought and excessive heat. One other thing when it comes to watering, and this is tip number 6, is that you really want to water in the early morning or in the late evening. This isn't just because of the plants, it's because of us. It's cooler outside at both early morning and evening. And then also for the plants, it helps the water go into the soil during your watering. Less of that water evaporates before it hits the soil. It also allows the plants to take up that water that you just gave it before the heat of the day. And if you get water on the leaves, it's more likely to dry before the heat of our wonderful sun, or the light of our wonderful sun, hits it and could possibly cause damage to the plant with the water on the leaves. Now, watering in the morning does have an additional benefit that watering in the evening doesn't. Watering in the morning can also help to prevent some fungal issues. Because even though the temperatures drop overnight, warm, moist temperatures can actually help fungal issues develop. Think of stuff such as powdery mildew on some of your squash, or think of black spot on your roses. When we have moist leaves that stay wet overnight, that can lead to some fungal issues. And watering in the morning helps alleviate some of those. But also remember that sometimes you do have to water your garden in the middle of the day. Sometimes it's better just to take care of your garden regardless of what time it is. And so we've talked about what you can do to help your garden thrive in the summer. These next 2 things are going to be things we do not want to do or we need to be mindful of. One is fertilizing a lot of your plants during the summer. And why don't we want to fertilize them? Is because some of our plants are actively stressed, and adding fertilizer to that can aggravate the stress they're already in, because it's going to put out new growth, and that new growth can be more susceptible to leaf burn, drying out. It's going to be younger and more tender, and therefore not as well protected against the heat of our summer sun. Another reason you don't want to fertilize is because some non-organic or synthetic fertilizers have salts. These can also aggravate heat stress and inhibit the plant from taking up some of those nutrients. The next one is more about knowing that not all wilting is because the root ball of your plant is dry. Sometimes plants just get hot. It is Texas. It is summer. It's like hell. It is hell here sometimes. But our plants, some of them have developed ways to handle the heat. So sometimes when your leaves go from like this to like this, it does not necessarily mean that your plants need water. Some plants have done that as a way to protect themselves. Just like we as people, we sweat, we get hot. Sweating is one of our body's ways of cooling itself off. Plants sometimes shut some of their systems down and close in on themselves to do the same thing, protect themselves from the heat. You want to check the moisture of the soil. And so there's a few different ways to check the moisture of your soil. You can do the finger test. Just poke it with your finger. And so you're going to put your finger into the soil and you're going to see if it's moist. There's that word again, moist. And if it's cool to the touch, like cooler than the top of the soil or cooler than the outside air, that is a sign that the soil still has moisture in it. And also, when you stick your finger in and you pull your finger out and there's dirt on your finger, that is another sign that the soil is moist. Other things is you can use moisture meters. These give you a real accurate measure of how moist your soil is, and they keep your finger clean. Just make sure that you don't leave these in the soil, that you pull them out and clean them when you're done. And then one good rule of thumb, if you see a plant wilting in the morning before the heat of the day, that is typically a sign that you do need to water that plant. And why don't we want to water every time we see a plant wilty? Because that can absolutely lead to overwatering. Why do we want to check our soil moisture? Because that can be one of the ways we monitor how much water is in our soil and can help us prevent overwatering. Why do we not want to overwater? Because our roots and the soil microbes need oxygen. If you overwater, you're not leaving any room for that oxygen. The soil holds too much water and the plants can't take up the nutrients. There's a couple of things that can happen when this occurs. One is a root rot. It's where there's a fungus that attacks the roots and literally kills the roots. Because of those things, you always want to check your soil moisture before you just blanket water everything. Because not all plants are going to want the same amount of water every day. My tomatoes are going to want more watering than my dragon fruit. And then my in-ground drought-hardy perennials are going to want less watering than my key lime in a pot. And so you do have to also understand the water needs of your plants. That way, when you test the moisture level for your plants and your soil, you know when to water those specific plants. Oh, and don't forget to hydrate yourself. Just like our plants, we people need the sun and we need moisture. We need to make sure that we water ourselves. Drop a comment below. Is summer just too hard for you to take care of your plants? Is it because you just don't like going out in the heat? Or have you not been able to find a way to take care of those plants over the summer? If there's another tip or a trick or something that you do in the summer to protect your garden, let me know. I would love to try it out in my own garden. If you liked what you heard today, feel free to share this video with a friend you know that has a garden that is struggling in the summer heat. If you enjoyed this, feel free to subscribe for more gardening tips and tricks. Let's grow something beautiful together. I'll see you in the garden.